Hey, I'm Randy Younger, New York City's go to film enthusiast. Every week, I dive deep into the world of cinema with special guests from the New York City film scene. Whether I'm interviewing industry insiders or comparing the latest releases, there's always something for every movie lover. Join me as I explore the magic of film and discover what makes these movies unforgettable. Hey guys, I'm Randy Younger, and it's another episode of Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together one frame at a time. And tonight we have two films that we're going to be discussing. We've got the new biopic, A Complete Unknown, about Bob Dylan's humble beginnings. And after that, we're going to be discussing the hairy new horror thriller, the new adaptation, Wolfman. But before we get into the reviews, I just want to welcome my wonderful panel tonight of guest critics. We have Tyler Michael. Welcome back, Tyler.
Thank you. It's great to be back as always.
Yeah, of course. It's been a few weeks, and I miss you, man. Every time you leave, I want more Tyler.
Same with you. Same with
Oh,
you, Randy.
very
Completely
thanks.
agree.
Thank you, thank you. And of course, joining him is Max Keller. Welcome back, Max.
Hi, how's it going? I'm happy to be
So
here. Look, talking about movies is one of the things I love in life, so I'll take this.
I know you really can't go wrong with some quality movie
I know,
talk.
right?
It's really what gets me through the day at my day job, and just good people, good movies, good conversation. It does not get better than that.
I
And
agree.
tonight is no different, because first we're going to be talking about A Complete Unknown. And I'll be honest with you, I really, going into this film, I did not know much about Bob Dylan's life or his music. When I saw the film, I enjoyed it. I actually went out back and watched one of his documentaries from the 60s, and that was wonderful. It was, what was it? It was Don't Look Back, I believe, right? Or Don't Look Back from 1967. And I really enjoyed
That's
that.
the one.
I actually enjoyed the documentary more than the Timothy Chalamet film, which is what we're about to discuss. And this film is based on a 215 book, Dylan Goes Electric by Elijah Wald. I thought the Chalamet film was good. I thought it was solid. Wasn't great. Chalamet did a great job. He had the physicality. He sounded like Dylan, and I was kind of invested in his journey. And along the way, you've got a wonderful supporting cast as well, which is great. Real quick, Edward Norton as Pete Seeger, Elle Fanning, Monica Barbaro as Joan Baez, who was fantastic as well. Boyd Holbrook, Dan Fogler, and Scoot McNairy was also in a supporting role. And yeah, I mean, you were transported back to 1961, which was nice. And the aesthetics of the film were great. The story was decent, and like I said, I was invested in the journey of Dylan, but it kind of fell flat a little bit for me. I wasn't really totally invested towards like the middle and end, and that's where things kind of fell apart for me. But I think Chalamet did a very good job, and he kept me interested, as well as James Mangold's direction. I know this was his follow-up to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny,
Hmm.
but that's another episode. But yeah, A Complete Unknown. I enjoyed it, didn't love it. Tyler, I know you want to. I'll save you for the last review, the last comments, because I know you have some stuff to say. But
I could
Max,
tell
you're up.
he's just like holding it in, like, oh, let me talk about
I
this
know, I
one.
know. He's
I will
bursting.
say this is definitely better than his Indiana Jones movie, and I don't even
Yeah,
hate that movie that much.
yeah,
Honestly, thinking about this film, as I was watching it, I was like thinking to myself, I'm not a big music biopic guy. Like, it's kind of weird because I think there are a lot of missed potential, and this film really showed it. And one of the things I was kind of hoping for with this was that it would have more of a perspective on Bob Dylan. And what was kind of weird is that the only perspective it had was like, yeah, he made some great music.
yeah.
And I guess they didn't want to take too much liberties with like his life and stuff. Like, I'm not denying the acting's great. Like, the acting's the best part of it with Timothy
Right.
Chalamet, Edward Norton, Monica Barbaro. They're all great. I just never really felt like I truly knew what this interpretation of Dylan was, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah, he was a young budding musician. I agree with you there. I wanted more of his personality to shine through. I enjoy the standard biopic formula, where they show his childhood from, teenhood to the adulthood. I like that
Yeah,
progression. I think it works very well in other biopics like Walk the Line. I think Ray also followed that formula.
I haven't
This
seen
one
it.
kind of he just jumps right into age 20, and which is not a bad thing. I would just like to have seen more of his upbringings from Minnesota and stuff like that.
I
Um,
get that. I was just like more thinking like because I was like one of the things I kind of like wonder with music biopics is like I usually want them to either go deep into the character or deep into the work of this person. And
Mhm.
I feel like I never got that. Like I got like glimpses of it. Like one of the things I did right before was listen to his most famous album, Highway 61 Revisited. Yes, it's as amazing as everyone says. And there's a moment in that album where he uses slide whistle and stuff. I think that's the instrument. I could be wrong. And it's like you only get that for 1 minute in this movie where it's like, oh, we're doing this. Okay. I
Mhm.
don't care if it feels tacked on. Let's see more of it. Oh, we're jumping to the next scene. Okay. So I was like that. I will say I was more impressed with how I'm just gonna say one positive, like that I
Sure.
really liked, which is that I like how the singing actually felt authentic. Like
Yeah.
you had these actors who were singing as these characters and they felt authentic enough. Like you have Edward Norton as Pete Seeger, and I don't think I've really seen a movie where he sings, so that could
Yeah.
just be a me thing, but I was like looking at that and being like, you know what? You actually sound really good. Timothy sounds a lot like Bob Dylan, and the differences are subtle enough where I respect his portrayal of the character enough.
Right. Also,
100%.
you mentioned how he does sound like the actual Dylan. I believe that Chalamet trained and practiced with the same vocal coach that helped out Austin Butler in Elvis. So very, very talented
Cool.
person who got basically guided these actors to sound just like who they're portraying. That's wonderful. And yeah, Chalamet knocked it out of the park. I actually, before I get into my little rant on Chalamet, Tyler, why don't you share your thoughts on A Complete Unknown?
Well, A Complete Unknown gave me everything I expected from a music biopic, both good and both bad. On a positive note, just start with the positives. It has all the hits I would want from a music biopic, and I think the general audience wants from a music biopic. It has top-notch casting. The soundtrack is slamming, especially when it has actors that can actually sing, which almost feels like a rarity.
Right.
Um, the aesthetic, the visuals, it's not like too montagey, it's not too flashy,
Yeah.
but they're beautiful enough. They're subtle, they're laid back, they're focused on being a period piece, much like how Dylan was. So the visuals actually represent Dylan,
Right.
rather than just trying to like shine too much light on him, where it feels like, okay, he's going so bright, he looks like Jesus. You know what I mean? Everything looks so perfect. Not only that, I actually liked that the film only covered a span of 5 years of his life, because with most music biopics, which is a big problem I have with many of them, even the good ones, they
Mhm.
cram so much afterthoughts. Some attention is given more than others. Tons of liberties are taken. So I was glad that the film limited itself from when Bob Dylan, starts out, works his way to become a folk singer, and then it ends to the next chapter of his career, which was a
Right.
big move, which I won't go into detail if that's a spoiler.
I don't.
Um,
Yeah. No,
um,
no spoilers here. You know that.
exactly. Well, I'm not sure if that would count as a spoiler, but
Right, because
anyway.
it actually happened.
Right, exactly. Um, but so overall it did give me what I want, but at the same time, it just feels like every standard music biopic. Like Max said, what is this film trying to say about Dylan? What this film pretty much says is for the first hour of the movie,
Hmm.
can compare with him. But the question is, Why is he a genius? What made him a genius? He wrote these songs, he sang them. Yes, we can watch concerts, we can listen to music. What is his mindset, or what is the film's speculation on that mindset? What is the creative process? What are the influences? We get barely anything from that. It's just like, no, Dylan's amazing. That's the first hour of the movie.
Right, right, right.
And
Yeah.
then when things get different for him, the film becomes interesting, but at the same time, we don't really get why he's trying to change things up. We
Yeah.
have an idea why, but the film doesn't show that progression. They pretty much just summarize it in a few sentences.
Yeah, so basically the
And
movie.
the thing a
Yeah.
lot of people know, for me, this is kind of news. And another thing that a lot of people know, like the only thing I got from this movie that I didn't know, and I'm a Dylan fan,
Mhm.
but a lot of other Dylan fans know about this, was how the film touched upon his relationship with Joan Baez. Which, by the way, the actress playing her, she wasn't. She's the only miscast in the film, not by performance,
Okay.
but by how she resembles Joan
Oh, yeah.
Baez. Like everybody else looks perfectly. I mean, with Edward Norton starring as Pete Seeger.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she was good, but she just didn't cut it. And yeah, the whole affair was just new to me. And I think that was the interesting parts of the film, in all honesty, because we're looking at Bob Dylan behind closed doors and we're getting more of a speculation. Like honestly, it just feels like a very shallow and hollow film that gives you what you want, but
Right.
also feels like so many other different music biopics where it doesn't have a unique perspective or anything that new to say about Dylan. It's perfect for those, okay, maybe not perfect, but it's good enough for those who are going into this film who have never really dabbled into Dylan's history. This is like the Cliff Notes version of it. But
Yeah.
I know there are so many better movies about Dylan than this. And the
Right.
films I recommend are Martin Scorsese's two-part documentary, No Direction Home, the documentary you saw, Don't Look Back,
Yes.
um, and the most unconventional of music biopics, I'm Not There, which has six different actors playing different ideas of Dylan.
So cool.
Ooh,
I got to
that's
check that one out. That's next up. I might watch that tonight.
Right.
I didn't have time today to squeeze that one in, but Don't Look Back was fantastic. And like I said, I liked it more than this Complete Unknown. I
Me
thought
too.
it tapped into his personality, his relationships, how he handles people, his interactions with others. It was so vivid and so well made. And he was the most interesting part of it. He was literally the star of his own movie. And I love seeing that. I wanted a lot more of it. There's a scene in Don't Look Back where he's talking to a British journalist, and they're kind of like going back and forth with each other, and the tension is rising. It's like, are they about to like get into a fist fight? It's got very, very heated. And I really enjoyed the movie overall. It was just it painted a very vivid picture of them of Dylan and his life. And I prefer that to Chalamet's. I'm not gonna lie. Um,
I
also,
do
I want
too.
yeah. So and Tyler, I want to thank you for recommending that one to me because it was great.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah. Max, have you dabbled with the documentary?
I unfortunately, for the only Bob Dylan things I've seen was unfortunately a complete unknown. I
Okay.
feel a little bad about it, but
It's all
I
good.
okay.
Yeah, no, you're in good
Won't
company,
tarn.
Max. You know that.
Thank you for not tarring and feathering me for not seeing the 6 hour Martin Scorsese documentary.
Don't worry. Maybe another episode will tar and feather you, but right now you're safe.
That
Uh,
works. I know some opinions I have you can tar and feather me for, so go ahead and do it.
no worries, no worries. I also want to briefly mention the 2000 film Wonder Boys, which stars Michael Douglas and Tobey Maguire and Robert Downey Jr. and a slew of other great actors. But that film, it's a wonderful dramedy, and it actually the theme song is by Dylan. And that was actually the first exposure I ever had to the man's music. And yeah, it was a wonderful theme, and seeing this movie and the documentaries, I got exposed to even more of his great music, and I'm sort of addicted to the folky rock and roll sound. It's not folksy, excuse me. It's quite nice, I must say.
I will
So,
say one of
you
the
know,
things this movie did do was make me realize, you know what, Bob Dylan is better than. Sorry, I thought I kicked my cup. That Bob Dylan is better than I think I give him credit for because my
hmm,
relationship with Dylan is this. My parents hate him. They hate his voice too much, and I'm like, you know what, this is good. I think his songwriting's really good. I can get used to his voice, but for some reason, when I heard these songs in the film, I'm like, you know what, these are actually better than I ever thought they were.
yeah.
So I'll give the movie
And,
that credit.
and what makes it even better is that Chalamet is actually singing them. So that
Yeah,
adds to the authenticity of the whole project,
Mhm.
yeah,
I
I
must
love that
say.
choice.
Yeah, and so in preparation for this review, I did go back and watch two of Chalamet's other films that are very noteworthy. The first one is, I believe, from 2015 called "Call Me by Your Name," which
Haven't
is
seen, but yeah, that was great.
beautiful romantic story between his character and Armie Hammer's character. We won't get into Armie Hammer's personal life right now,
Hmm.
but these two had a beautiful, very sweet on-screen romance. I recommend that film. It'd be a good date night movie, I'll be honest with you. So there's that one, Call Me by Your Name, and also Beautiful Boy, where Chalamet plays a drug addict and his father, played by Steve Carell, is struggling to find help for him. And the relationship between those two actors was fantastic. Chalamet just showed his range, his depth, and how truly gifted he is as an actor. That's why I was so excited to review a Complete Unknown because this is just another level in the evolution of Chalamet's career. So I'm really happy that we got to talk about that today. So yeah, I'm a Chalamet fan. I've been one for the past maybe year or so, but yeah, this movie is further example that the man can act. He's a talented young man. So Tyler Max, are you Chalamet fans now or have been?
I mean, I remember like being really amazed with him in Lady Bird and Call Me by Your Name when I was 17, and you just listed my two favorite performances of him.
Nice.
I will admit, like, my biggest problem with the Dune movies he's in is probably something I should save if you want to like do an episode on those and you need me.
Maybe we kind of missed the boat on Dune, even though Dune 2
Yeah,
was
you're right.
nominated for an Oscar, but I'll keep it in mind. We'll see, maybe.
I'll just say one of my problems is related to Timothy Chalamet's character, but I think his performance in that movie is still great. So yeah, I really
Nice.
like him a lot.
Cool. Tyler, Chalamet fan? Yeah or nay?
Well, I can't really say nay or
Hmm.
yay because I'm not that familiar with his time. I think A Complete Unknown is enough for me to say, you know what, this guy's pretty talented. I like
Yeah.
to see more of his work.
Yeah. No, he's
Again, for me, when it comes to movies, I'm usually more focused on directors than I am actors.
I
Same.
see. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm a mix between actor and director. And if it's two of my favorites combined, then
Hmm.
it's pretty much going to be a fine film, hopefully. So, all right. So, with A Complete Unknown, everyone listening and watching, it is currently in theaters, and yeah, it is worth checking out. All right, so another movie that's in theaters I want to talk about is the new adaptation Wolfman, which is loosely based on the 1941 classic from Universal Pictures, and it is directed by Leigh Whannell, who directed the 2020 Invisible Man. So basically, over the years, they've been trying to create the dark universe, the Universal monsters, kind of just bringing them all into a shared universe, kind of like the Avengers of movie monsters. It hasn't really worked over the past decade. Invisible Man was very strong. Unfortunately, it didn't really progress because of COVID-19. The pandemic hit, and I think that was the last movie I saw pre-pandemic. But things just didn't work out. But now we have Wolfman, and I was a little excited for it. I love the director. I love the actors involved. You've got Christopher Abbott, Julia Garner, and a young Matilda Firth, who's fantastic, the daughter in this movie. And basically, Abbott and Garner play a married couple who go out to it's like a farmhouse or a cabin in the middle of nowhere. I think it's Oregon. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But
Yeah, it's Oregon. I just looked it
Oregon.
up.
And basically, Christopher Abbott gets bitten, gets basically starts a gradual transformation into a werewolf, which we've all seen before, and mayhem ensues. I did not really like this movie. I like the actors involved. I love the premise was good, but the execution was not. I wanted more. Just if you want to see a better body horror transformation film, just see The Fly. Just see An American
Of
Werewolf in
course, yeah.
London. Because this movie, it's almost an insult to those movies and to the horror genre. I was not impressed. I feel like I wasted money on it. And yeah, I mean, the makeup effects were decent. The tension was okay. I love Julia Garner from Ozark. She's a fantastic young actress. Christopher Abbott's pretty good too. And they do their best here. But for me, the movie again fell flat. Uh, Max, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on the new Wolfman?
It was. I kind of am in a similar boat with you, though I'm not that upset about it. Unlike the Bob Dylan movie, which I should have done research for, I actually did research for this with
Hmm.
watching the 1940s Wolfman with what the hell's Lon Chaney,
Unchained.
and
Yep.
then the remake of that with Benicio del
Benicio del
Toro.
Toro. Yeah.
I'll admit one of the things I do like about this film is how it did change like some ideas. How obviously you have the inciting incident being a man is bit by a werewolf and becomes a werewolf,
Yeah.
but I did like how it did do some other stuff with the story besides like, oh, this is Victorian England and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And like blah blah blah, everything you saw in the 41 and 2010 version. I didn't care about most of what was going on in the film though. Like I there were some creative ideas with like how it showed the perspective of one of the characters becoming a werewolf, but I just thought to myself, this is very cliche. This is kind of uninteresting, and
Yeah.
no offense if I wasn't watching it for this show, I probably would have just been like, I think I'm gonna fall asleep in the theater
Yeah.
because I'm probably gonna forget about this movie very soon, and maybe after this recording, I'll forget about it.
Yeah. It's like in one ear out the other. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Tyler, thoughts on the Wolfman or just Wolfman?
Well, I will be honest. I think I like this film better than both of you guys.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean I think it's good. Just want to make that clear. I don't think it's
Okay.
really good, but I don't think it was that much of a waste of time either. Like, in terms of positives, I love the setup. I love that they're in a cabin, there's a werewolf outside, one slowly turning into a werewolf, there's a family dilemma. Like, this is actually a very suspenseful premise. I really enjoyed, even if I'm thinking of Evil Dead 2 just a little bit.
Yes.
Um,
Awesome.
uh, I love I thought the scares were actually better than the last horror film I saw in theaters, Nosferatu, because they took their time and they didn't lead to something that was cheap or relied on a loud noise. That's where you're focused more on the noise than you are on the actual scare.
Right.
I love the perspective of him turning into a werewolf. I love how we see through his point of view. I love some of the body horror elements of it, even though it's not as great as something like, say, The Fly or American Werewolf in London. I still think that we get some pretty good, neat, gruesome imagery. And I thought the cast was well performed, and I think the family element of it is handled very well. Not to mention, I enjoyed the film's themes on family trauma and even feminism, which all feels very natural. It doesn't feel like it's always,
Yeah.
making big speeches or winking too hard at the audiences or handling it in the most heavy-handed manner. However, here's my biggest problems with the movie. The film is boring to look at with its constant blue color scheme, with its shadows. The werewolf, okay, it's always in the shadows.
Right.
And again, when we see an alternative design, it just looks like a very hairy version of Gollum with a wolf face, and it's not really that appealing to look at. Not as in frightening, just very bland, very generic. And the number one problem I had with this movie is the suspense felt lacking. I
Yeah.
never felt a sense of danger for the characters. I pretty much knew who was going to die, who was going to live. And we don't really see the werewolf take any action on screen that much. I mean, its kills are off screen. I
Right.
mean, I can understand that in the original Wolfman, but in an R-rated Wolfman movie, show some gore, show your teeth,
Right.
really show what you are capable of. And again, last but not least, there are long periods of time where the family is sitting down talking to one another and sleeping. I feel like this film would have been more suspenseful if the werewolf was a constant threat and they
Right.
had moments or maybe a scene or two of them comforting each other. I feel like the suspense would have been stronger if they tried to keep barricading or finding new ways to escape the wolf, and they don't. And that's why I feel like made the Invisible Man remake very, very stronger
Right. It's just
because
yeah.
you know what I mean? You didn't know when this person was going to pop out. You were anticipating it every time. Here, you have moments to say like, okay, the wolf's not going to be here for a while. Let's relax and
Mhm.
just talk
Yeah, let's go
in this
take
very boring environment.
Um,
So,
I was so disappointed because, yes, the Invisible Man from 2020 was so fresh, so original,
Yeah.
and handled so well that figured, the Wolfman will kind of follow in that trend of innovative storytelling, really talented acting, which Wolfman has. But I think the acting is the only good thing about this movie. I
I
think that
agree.
this is really a very poor example of the director's work. I'm going to give them, another chance. Hopefully, they'll do something, maybe like a Creature from the Black Lagoon, something like that would be cool.
Maybe.
But the Invisible Man was so good. This was just it. It just was it paled in comparison, and that's what the when I'm comparing both films, that's the most frustrating aspect of everything the Wolfman is. So. I don't think I'm going to recommend this movie to audiences. I think they should save their money, see movies like, Wolf with Jack Nicholson from 1994. That's a fun one. There are so many better werewolf movies out there. This new Wolfman, sadly, is not one of them. Um, so
Hmm.
yeah, Wolfman's in theaters. So if you're mildly
It
curious,
exists.
check it out. Yeah, it exists. It's around. It was actually made. But yeah, see it.
Right.
I say check out some of the other works of Christopher Abbott and Julia Garner. They're fantastic young actors, and this film was just it was a poor vehicle for them. So yeah. All right, guys. So we have a couple of minutes left, and I just wanted to go around and see if there's any plugs, any projects you guys are working on, anything you want to mention. Max, I'll start with you, sir.
Oh God, I don't have that much in the can, honestly.
No worries. Kind of jealous of that.
Oh
Uh,
crap. I mean, maybe I'll have something. I don't know. I just don't have any new projects. I'm sorry.
no worries, no worries. Tyler, anything going on with you?
I do want to announce in a few days my review on GoldenEye as my favorite Bond game is going to be released on my blog. I mentioned that was in the works last time I was here. This time, this week, it'll be revealed. So check out Tyler the Movie Maniac, blogspot.com.
Oh my gosh. Yes, excited for
I am
that.
so excited for that. That's gonna
Yeah,
be great.
GoldenEye is amazing. You guys are a little younger than I am, but GoldenEye N64 was everything to me when I was about what 11, 12, and I used to play multiplayer with my friends. It was like a huge event, and yeah, that game really introduced me to basically first-person shooters and multiplayer. So those two aspects of gameplay. So Tyler, looking forward to that, and I know we're going to be doing a show at some point this year, hopefully for the 30th anniversary of GoldenEye, the first Pierce Brosnan entry into 007. And yeah, and then we're gonna just do where we're gonna wax intellectual on all the Bond films from 1961 to today. And we could also touch on the video games too. I know you're obviously a big fan of those. So there's a lot of stuff to cover. So Max,
You
are
guys are
you
gonna
a
make
fan
me
of
want.
the Bond films or games?
Uh, yes and no, because I have a weird relationship with them. I do think they're really good movies, but I remember there was just a month where I tried to like binge all the Bond movies and stuff, and because I was working a very early morning job, it was kind of hard for me to stay awake during them, which a few of the movies I blame it on, but most of them I was like, no, no. I feel like if I was in a better headspace, I'd enjoy them. Like, but there were some really good ones in there. Like, I'll just give you my top three, okay?
Yeah, do it, do
This is in no particular
Do it.
order.
it.
Skyfall, GoldenEye, and my favorite is Casino Royale.
Nice, interesting. Okay, no Connery or more in there.
Yes. I
I mean, I
recommend
do
those
really
too.
like Goldfinger a lot. I remember liking a couple of the Sean Connery ones.
Hmm.
I know there's like a Roger Moore movie I really liked. Was it The Spy Who Loved Me? I'm actually
That
gonna
was
look
I
this
great.
think
up
that
real
might have
quick.
been it.
That's actually my
That's
number.
usually the one most Bond fans would say is the best of the Moore era.
That's my
Yeah.
favorite overall. I think that Goldfinger and I mean none of the I mean the Craig movies are good, but I'm very nostalgic.
I
I
understand.
actually kind of thought A View to a Kill, actually everything from Moonraker to A View to a Kill are just so much fun. You know, they're terrible movies, but it's Roger Moore at his goofiest. You know, you got great cars, great gadgets, great, beautiful women, and good stories. But
Yeah, they're good
Good point.
fun. That's
they
what they
are.
are. They're just good fun.
I mean, Moonraker, you got Bond in space. I mean, you can't go wrong there. Or
I
you
will
can go
admit that
totally
was
wrong.
actually really fun when I watched that.
It's a fun one. All right, guys. So I look forward to the Bond stuff in the near future, Tyler. That's awesome. And I just want to do some plugs on my end here. If you want to catch new episodes of Under the Radar, just check out Slam Radio through SiriusXM every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and again on Saturdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific there. Also, if you want to catch the video version of this podcast, that's on Manhattan Neighborhood Network every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. And as always, feel free to subscribe and share the Under the Radar YouTube channel. So, gentlemen, Tyler and Max, I want to thank you so much for your time tonight. This is
Thank you so much
incredible.
for having us.
Yeah, this is a
Yes,
lot of
thank you
fun.
very much indeed.
This is a great one. You guys are you always deliver the goods, and I'm grateful to know you
Thanks.
guys.
As do you, Randy. As
Oh,
do
thank
you.
you.
Mm.
All right, guys. Well, I'm Randy Unger. This has been Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together one frame at a time. We'll see you next time. Take care.